a show that covers what's going on in the North Shore and provides insight into our local villages and its representatives. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Johnson, and welcome to another segment of From the Source. Today, I have as my special guest the mayor of the village of Great Neck, Dr. Pedram Bral. Dr. Bral was elected as mayor in 2015 and was re-elected by the community with the popular vote this past June for a third term. I'm happy to have with me today the mayor of the village of Great Neck, Dr. Pedram Bral. Well, thank you for coming on the show. One of the first questions that I have to know that, you are an incredibly gifted doctor doing cutting-edge technology. Tell me, why did you want to enter local government politics?
It's a question that I've been asked, I think, many, many times, and I can't really give you a one sentence answer, but it's when there's a calling. Sometimes you accept it and sometimes you don't. In this case, the community asked. I thought about it, discussed it with my wife. Originally, she was very much against it because of the time restraints that it would put on the family. But then when many people from the community spoke to her, she understood the gravity of the situation. She agreed, and at that time, I accepted the nomination.
So the population of Great Neck really knows who you are, and you know who they are, and that's a great statement. And I'm sure that that's why you won the third time in office, right? This is your third.
Right. So this was really extremely humbling. People don't realize when you're not in the politics. You don't realize what it's like to get elected. It's a very humbling experience. And I always say the first time I got elected, it didn't feel the same as it did the third time or even the second time. Because many times when you run against an incumbent, people come out there to vote against the incumbent, not knowing who the person is that they're running or they're voting for. And it's not so much of the vote for the person who's getting elected. It's sort of saying that we want change. But when you get elected the second time and the third time, it's people saying we actually like the change and we want to continue. So it becomes, every time it becomes even more humbling than the previous time. So I'm really grateful for the chance that people have given me and the trust that they have in me to be able to do the right thing for the village.
That's great. The village is quite extensive, and it has all different kinds of zoning, residential, commercial, and how hard or easy is it to stay on top of this? Because there's a lot of different issues coming from a lot of different situations.
Right, so I think our issue is the issue that we're trying to deal with head on is the commercial. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody knows. In every village, county, state, and country, the commercial district in every area is getting hit just because the demographic has changed. People shop online. Many people don't like to go to the stores as they used to. Right. The online availability is a lot more than what it is when you go to a store. Even, for example, let's say Macy's. You can find a lot more on their internet than you can find the actual store. Different sizes, all the sizes are available, all the colors are available. So people just think, you know what, I just do it that way. So our challenge is to find out what is it we can do to fill up the commercial spaces with new businesses Usually they tend to be of services rather than retail. Restaurants, hair salons, nail salons, cafes. Those are the things that people get attracted to. Maybe to start having more outdoor space and outdoor seating. These are the things that people really want to hear and want to see. As far as the residential, obviously you need to do what you can to attract different groups of people. Mm-hmm. It can't be that it's extremely expensive, that only one type, the people that are making a lot of money, be able to make a living and afford it. And it can't be that something that is extremely on the low point, that only mostly people that can't afford bigger homes to come in. So to create a diversity, to have condos and co-ops and private homes and apartment buildings, to bring in, so the young people, the old people, the people that have kids that send to school, people that have kids that, you know, that go to private school, people that are empty nesters, and people that are just getting married that can't afford a bigger home but would like to have a starter home. If you do that, you're going to create you vitalize the village and the town. So our job is really to look at all those things and see what we can do, not to overcrowd unnecessarily, to increase the traffic unnecessarily, but to provide so people don't leave Great Neck to go shop elsewhere, or the young people don't leave Great Neck to stay and live somewhere else and deplete our community from the working force that will be there in the next generation.
Yeah, that's true. It's I think it's very difficult for young kids to live anywhere on Long Island. It's you know, starting homes are really, or apartments are really necessary. With the cellular service going to the next level of 5G, the peninsula is faced with major needs to upgrade, and Extenet is supposed to come in to provide alternatives to get the speed of the internet up, as well as self-service. Has that affected the village of Great Neck?
Well, we have not had a meeting with this company yet. 5G, I know, is supposed to be the next level. The mayors from different villages in the peninsula had a meeting with Congressman Tom Suozzi regarding this and discussed our concern. He heard us, and he is going to take it to the federal level to find out what we can do to create services that are safe. Now, I can say that I'm an engineer when it comes to electromagnetics, but based on what I've learned, I think it's something that concerns many people, and we need to really address those concerns. And I do believe that Congressman Suozzi is going to do what he can to provide the right service at the lowest possible health risk to the community.
Right. I understand that the Baker Hall School complains about being overcrowded and is interested in expanding the school. I also understand that there might be plans in place that they want to buy Village Hall. What's going on with that?
Right, so that's something that we've been discussing for a few years. The Village Hall is currently located in a private area, it's next to the school, Baker Hill School, but it's in a residential area. It's an old building that has served the community for many, many, many years. The school has voiced their interest in purchasing it. I have voiced my interest in selling it to the school because I believe that they can benefit from expanding Baker Hill to decrease the overcrowdedness of the classes, increase the number of the classes, and provide better service for our students. And we all here, our main job, I always say this to my friends, parents, that really our main goal in life is to really provide for the next generation and give them the best possible education, because when I get older, they're the ones that are going to lead my village, my community, and we need to give them the best possible education so they can provide for us. So it's, in a way, even though it seems like it's a selfless thing to do, but it becomes a selfish thing to do, because you need to give them in order for them to be able to carry the torch to the next generation. I do believe that my board is 100% behind this move. We are looking at different options of moving the village hall to a place that is going to be more beneficial to the public, as far as more parking spaces and better accessibility. And I'm hoping that this will happen in the next couple of years.
Okay, that's great. I understand that there's a great effort to unite the diverse groups in the village. Tell me what's going on with that.
I think what's going on in America in general in the past few years has become more of not necessarily accepting the differences and having arguments that become more of a head-on collision. And our village has gotten affected by that as well, and it's unfortunate. I do believe that we need to go back and live by this statement that we used to say, we agree to disagree, let's move on and live. And I'm hoping that having people coming to the meeting and voicing their concerns is going to hopefully help with that. In my village, we are placing people from different backgrounds to different boards to make sure that there is enough involvement, not from only one, but pretty much everybody, to have some kind of a say. And I'm hoping that that will bring in, and those people become ambassadors to the community and start having conversations with the people in the community to come in, and instead of feeling rejected, they should feel like they're being invited, and they feel like they can come in and discuss their concerns instead of feeling that they are being pushed away. So that's something that we're doing in our village. We also had street fair that brings people from all different walks of life to come and enjoy the event. And I'm hoping to have more of these, because I think when people learn about other people's cultures, they actually start appreciating them a lot more than if they have that fear. People are afraid of change. People are afraid of differences. Maimonides, I work in a hospital that speaks more than 70 languages. People come from all over the world. And really, it's a beautiful thing to experience, to learn about different cultures, different backgrounds, and how we are more similar than we actually think we are. People have a lot in common, even from different backgrounds.
Right.
But unfortunately, people get so scared of the differences that they don't want to see the other person the way they really are. So they put this wall in front, and it's like, you're not me, so I'm not really interested at this time. And I'm hoping that we can break those barriers with whatever programs.
That's great, because it's true. People are very much alike, and ignorance is not bliss. So, I understand that a lot is being done about the revitalization of the village. Tell me what's going on with that.
We did hire VHB, an engineering organization company, to come in and give us a suggestion. So one of the reasons I ran 4.5 years ago was because the previous administration tried to shrink the commercial district to the smaller area to make sure that they all get filled up. I and many people believe that even though commercial is getting hit, if you bring in the right commercial, we can revitalize or vitalize the business corridor. One of the things that happened, and many people do this, I'm not going to necessarily sit down and bash the previous administration, that's not why I'm here, but one of the things many people believe, if you increase density, you fill up the commercial part of it, right, spaces. It doesn't necessarily work because many people from Great Neck travel elsewhere to do their shoppings, even though we had many things in Great Neck, even restaurants. And the reason is you need to bring up the restaurants and the cafes and ice cream stores, whatever we have in our village, up to the standard of what people really like to go to. Some people like little moms and pop kind of a shop. Some people like something different. So by expanding it and creating an environment that the residential on top, which is very much sought after, is going to subsidize the commercial on the bottom, is going to provide a business model for the developers that they can come in and say, okay, fine, if I go ahead and put this commercial on the bottom and I don't charge as much as I should if it's only a commercial, and I can subsidize the rent from the residential on top, I can actually run a profitable business, and this way I can provide for the community the business district that they want, the commercial that everybody is looking for, and for the segment of the community that want more residential in order to be able to move into if they're empty nesters, or get married and move into because they have no kids.
Right.
So that's going to provide, and I believe it's a win-win situation. What the opposition was saying in this election was that I'm actually increasing upzoning the Middle Neck Road, whereas I'm downzoning it by decreasing the number of floors from 4 floors of residential to only 3 floors of residential. And instead of having the first floor being residential and 3 floors of residential on top, 4 floors, I'm making the first floor, suggesting, not making, but I'm suggesting for the first floor to be commercial with 3 residential floors on top. After discussing with different business owners and developers, they agree with this business model, and they do believe that it can actually work, that they can go ahead and invest and get a good enough return in order to be able to provide the commercial for people that are desperately looking for.
So what you're trying to say is that these buildings are mixed use now,
Right.
and that the number of floors will be less as far as the height
Number of the residential floors will be 3 instead of 4.
Right, which makes it a more kind of community-like, intimate area, rather than these high rises.
Right. They're still going to be 4 floors, but the first floor is going to be commercial. And if you go to any new area, that has become the model, mixed use. It used to be residential and then commercial. But now everywhere we go that they're building these new towns or villages, they're all doing mixed uses because people can go down, shop where they are, they live upstairs. And something that Executive Karn said in her statement was that they want to create an area or a community that people can live, work, and play. And if you can provide that, then you can keep the people inside, and people shop from within, they work, hopefully they're close by, and they want to stay instead of leaving.
I always thought Great Neck was the place to go shopping. I mean, I go to Great Neck to go shopping. Here, and I live in Manhasset, which is, but you always had wonderful shops there. And and I love the little retailers too, but also the food. I mean, people want to go out to eat. It's so busy,
Right.
working all the time. Place for ice cream for the children. You know, I mean, I believe in that. I saw the revitalization of downtown Wall Street, and it was also, you know, there has to be mixed use. There has to be commercial businesses. People need to take their clothes someplace. They need to get their hair done, whatever, you know. So that's great. One of the things that is a big concern, and it's not only in Great Neck, it's everywhere, is the traffic. It
Right.
just seems like everybody's on the road. So one of the questions is, you know, what is being done to make the roads safer in Great Neck and to cut down on the traffic? Because it's a problem everywhere. I was talking with the mayor of Muncie Park. There's a big cut through in Muncie Park to get to the train station, people from outside areas. I don't know if that's a similar situation in your area or other issues, but the safety.
Right. So traffic has been the issue. I think even before I came. I don't think traffic is anything new in Great Neck. We live in the peninsula, so all the traffic has to go in one direction. I mean, two directions. Either it goes south or it goes north. It can't go sideways. You go sideways, you get to either this bay or the other bay. I do believe, though, and many studies have shown that residential buildings do not significantly increase the traffic. Because people leave their homes at different times. Not everybody comes home at the same time. So that has this trickling effect. Some people leave at 7, some people leave at 7:30, 8, 9, some people don't go to work one day. So even though you have a building, it's not going to necessarily increase the traffic significantly because people don't leave. 20 cars don't come out of the driveway or the garage at the same time. But knowing that, I know that the more cars you have, the more traffic you have. So one of the things that I suggested was if someone's going to build a significant number of apartment units, I would like for them to provide a shuttle service, which is going to be used and paid for by the people that are coming as part of their monthly payments. This can actually help to slowly decrease the traffic if it's done properly, because the new buildings that come in and provide these shuttle services, I am sure it's beneficial to them to invite the neighboring buildings to pay toward this shuttle service. And then instead of these people driving down to the station during the rush hour, they get in these nice buses or nice shuttle services that it goes straight there. They don't have to look for parking. They can have the breakfast there. They can be served coffee there. I mean, you can make it so interesting and appetizing that many people actually decide to do so. Also, if you suggest to the developers to have less parking available, knowing that no one can park in the streets and crowd the neighbors because it's against the law and they will get ticketed, they'll be summoned. If you do that, you are going to actually tell people that we don't appreciate having too many cars in the peninsula. So you have the shuttle service that goes back and forth on specific times, usually with the train schedule. And you know, many people need to drive because they don't work, they don't drive to the train station and they don't work in the peninsula. Those people are the people that exist regardless. But those people that actually have to drive to the train station, if you make their lives a lot easier. And a lot of people say, but we have buses, no one uses the bus. My answer and their answer is that I don't want to get in the bus and have 5 stops before I get to the train station when I can just get in my car and it takes me 10 minutes or 5 minutes to get there.
Right.
With the shuttle, there's one stop. You get from your apartment, you go straight to the thing. You don't have to the train station. You don't have to look for parking.
Right.
You don't have to park your car. You don't have to pay for parking.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Right. So these models do exist in other towns and cities, and I'm hoping that we have the first building who has come forward and has accepted this offer. We'll see how that works out.
Oh, that's terrific. That's wonderful, really. Affordable housing is a big issue for our youth, and it's hard for them to stay on Long Island just for a number of reasons. You know, maybe they're not getting paid as much as in the past, but truthfully, it's, you know, most of the houses in the area are starter homes are $1 million. That's really hard to afford,
right.
You know, especially with your student loans and whatever.
Right.
So how is the village trying to address this?
Well, when I got married, I lived in an apartment. I didn't have a house. Most people that I know, not everybody, but most people when they get married, they don't really need to have a big house. They don't have kids. They don't need a backyard. It's the two of them. The first 4 or 5 years, you may not need to really have a house. So I think most people would like to have an apartment building. Live in the community or move into a community. It's a lot easier and cheaper to go and invest in an apartment, either rent or buy, than to invest for a house. And when you say $1 million, usually $1 million plus another couple of $100,000 to fix it up, to be able to make it to what you want it to be. So when we offer, somebody comes and asks for an apartment building to build something, we usually ask them if they're going to ask for any kind of an incentive to build more than what they can by code. They have to provide a percentage of it to be affordable.
Okay.
So usually it's about 10%. Like we had the Avalon, which I can't take the credit or the blame because it was done from the previous administration. They had a good number of units that was given toward the affordable unit or workforce housing, and that, you know, it may not be a huge number, but it's a significant number. And you know, if you start keeping people in Great Neck, and you know, by having more apartment buildings that are maybe smaller or more affordable, you can keep those people around. And I think it's extremely important. A community that loses its young loses its character eventually and dies. So in order for us to stay vibrant, we really need to attract the young people to stay. And I believe that by providing this mixed-use units or mixed-use structures, it is going to provide both for elderly, for younger people, and everybody else who likes to go in their neighborhood and shop around or go for a drink or for a cake or, you know, whatever it is that you like to do. Go on a date. You don't have to get a babysitter for hours to go to Manhattan. You can go in Great Neck.
That's true. I mean, it's the best train line on Long Island.
Right. So I'm hoping that we get that we get there eventually.
Well, thank you very much for being a guest on my show.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it, and I hope that you will come back in the future.
Yes, of course.
That's all the time we have right now. Thank you all for tuning in to From the Source. Come back next time for more in-depth interviews with influential members of your community.